Good night. You're on.
Hey guys, I'm here. Hey Lila, you're already here. We are trying to get the baby all set up, and I think my computer's working. Hi, we have been busy today because we went out and did stuff, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But then we came home, and Grandma wants the pool set up today, which is fine. So we had to finish clearing the spot where the pool goes, and we had to take down a tree. So it involved people pulling on the tree so that it didn't hit the house. It wasn't a very big tree, but enough. Hold on, I've got to turn the sound down so my phone doesn't keep going off because it's loud. There we go. Okay, so a couple things I wanted to tell you guys about. A couple weeks ago, I mentioned Zenni Optical. This video is not sponsored by Zenni Optical, but I got my glasses. So this is what the container looks like. And this is the back. It's a nice hard container. Nice hard container. And when you open it up, I haven't opened these yet. So here's my order number. If you guys have the same glasses I do, which you don't. Comes in a nice little bag. Doing an unveiling here on YouTube Live. So you pull it out, and the glasses are wrapped in plastic. And they come with this nice little cleaning rag. Here's my glasses. Right there. And a little caring for your glasses thing. I might actually put these ones on because I told you 2 weeks ago I got out my new pair because the baby had accidentally broken mine. And this was the pair from my last order. But if you look, you can see they're a little bent. Nothing to do with Zenni Optical. Has to do with Abigail was trying to help us the other day as we were clearing this pool spot. And so she had a shovel and she wasn't paying attention where she was going, and she picked up her shovel behind her and whacked me in the face. I didn't get hurt, but my glasses definitely bent. So I might put this pair away. Hold on, just trying to get the baby a toy. I might put this bent pair away, wear a new pair, and put the bent ones in the car or something. So if I had glasses break, I like to have an extra pair with me because I cannot drive without my glasses. So then I could have an extra pair in the car that are fine to wear, but just don't sit quite right on my face, but are perfectly fine for driving. I've been wearing them the last couple days. So yeah, she felt bad, and she really didn't know what she was doing. You know, she's 5. She didn't see what was behind her. She wasn't paying attention. And I didn't get hurt at all. My glasses weren't fitting right anymore. So, hi Christina, hi Lila. How is everybody's weather today? Today it is beautiful here. It's like 65. And it's not super humid. So it's easy to do work outside. So that's great. So we enjoyed the day today. I was going to say something else. Oh, also, I think you probably saw a picture on Facebook, but we got the catechism books that we were waiting for, and they're really, really good. I actually like these ones. They've changed the books since we bought them years ago. So they have the same information in them. I think I haven't looked exactly, but mostly the same information, if not all the same information. But the setup's a little different, and I actually like the setup better. So that's really nice. I like the, they have it broken up in a different way. And so I think it would be easier to use. So they're very, very good, and I'm happy with them, and I hope the people that I'm going to be giving them to are happy. What's wrong, baby? This little guy didn't get changed yet. We went out this morning, and he is a master of pooping through his diaper. Yeah, you. It's something about the position in the car seat. He doesn't leak through clothes very often here, but in the car seat, regularly, he leaks through his clothes. Oh, that's nice weather in both places, in Tennessee and Norway. So this guy regularly leaks through his clothes, and because we haven't been going places very often, I did not refill the diaper box that we keep in the car, so he's got Big Brother's clothes on. So the pants are a little big, the shirt's a little big, and so he looks a little funny. So What else do you have
Well,
to
I
say?
look a little funny, but that's okay.
I was showing my Zenny opticals and my catechism stuff.
I saw that.
I know. Mark's been watching from the other room. He just didn't want to join us yet.
I need to
He was
use,
getting other stuff done.
I needed to use the little boy's room.
So what else is going on, Mark?
I don't, besides your glasses, we had a good walk this morning. Did you talk about the
I
walk?
haven't talked about the walk because that's part of what we're talking about today.
Oh,
I was
okay.
waiting to.
Sorry, I'll try to do the intro in the intro time.
So what else have we done this week? Oh, babies. We should do an update on
We did babies.
Babies are good.
Mm,
Babies
baby
are
bears.
getting bigger. And
You're getting
they're
bigger
cute, but I
too.
wasn't talking about you. The babies are super, super cute. Probably still going to be at the hospital for a week or two at least because they're just so small. It's good they can be here at the local hospital, but they're tiny. They still need feeding tubes to make sure they get all the nutrition they need.
Little tiny itty bitty
Joshua
babies.
and Madeline.
Super awesome babies. I've got other pictures, but
they're doing super well.
they are doing super, super well.
They're very excited, and I don't want to get into too much personal information.
This is Joshua.
You got more pictures?
That's Nathaniel holding one of them. I can't tell which one right now.
You're really shaky.
Sorry.
I
am really shaky.
So I don't want to give too much personal information. But one of them was dealing with an issue that they had a test done, and depending on the results of the test, they may have needed some further treatment, but the test came back good, and that further treatment is not needed as of right now. So,
right. Awesome.
So we're very thankful for that, because that could have meant different hospitals, which is no fun.
You're going to keep this guy, or we're going to...
Well, he's with us for right now. We can get rid of him in a little bit.
Okay.
Not get rid of him. He'll go sit with his sister. And so also this coming week, for being in quarantine, we have quite a busy week coming up. I'm not going to mention everything that we're doing, but
she's rubbing my leg to say, "Hey, don't tell him something," but I don't even know what that is. Don't tell him about that. Whatever
right.
that is.
Okay. See, this is the problem with a husband who doesn't remember anything, is sometimes he's supposed to keep a secret and he forgets that he's supposed to keep the secret.
Oh. Oh, that.
So.
Can I tell him about the...
We're not going to mention that, but you can mention everything else.
Oh.
What do you want to tell him about? This one. Tell me. Yeah, you can tell him about that.
Ooh, it's our anniversary on Monday. Monday, June 15th. Is our 18th wedding anniversary, so we are like super excited.
It's also my nephew's 4-year birthday.
Oh yeah,
our nephews.
And our nephew is going to be 4, so happy birthday, big man.
We share a birthday with him.
Yeah,
I mean, we share an anniversary with his birthday.
I think he tried to take it over, but we had it first, so it's ours.
So anyway, we celebrate 18 years of marriage on Monday, and we've watched our wedding video recently, which was really fun to be able to tell the kids about the people that were in the video and everything. So that was fun. And then today, I'll explain later, but today we went on our walk and we actually saw an old friend of mine from high school that had been in the wedding video. So
she's not old; she's young like her. A friend from a long time ago. We haven't seen. In a long time, actually.
Yeah,
years.
She hasn't been living around here, and she's home because of coronavirus. So it was fun to run into her and just kind of figure out what was going on with her.
Catch up with people.
Oh, Christina's brother, happy birthday.
Cool.
We had lots of people.
It's a popular day. The middle of June, evidently, is very popular for lots of things.
So we got married 18 years ago. We can talk a little bit about our wedding.
Our wedding. Does anybody want to watch the video?
No, we're not going to watch the whole video. No.
I want to watch the video because I think it's really cool because I was a young, ignorant little punk who thought he knew something about basically everything. But it turns out in the last 18 years, I figured out that I really don't know that much.
Did you forget it or never knew it?
I don't think I ever knew it. I remember our friend David, who sang at our wedding. Actually, he sang and played guitar for someone else to sing. Told me that day that I was wondering like why her dad was so weird.
Against you.
Why is he like, oh, it's my little girl and you better protect her or I'll kill you, or whatever he said.
I don't think he said that.
He
Maybe
didn't say exactly
similar,
that, but it was close. But anyway, I was
You better
like, I don't
protect me.
understand this thing. You know, like I'm gonna take good care of her, and I love
I
her,
love her.
and I think she's wonderful, and all that kind of stuff. And he said someday I'd grow up and I'd figure out what I was talking about. And I have not seen any of our children married yet, especially a daughter. I'm not looking forward to that day. To some extent, I am, because I want them to be married and I want them to enjoy the blessings of marriage. But I don't want to let them go either. So there's always that.
We love our children, and as they grow up,
I
they're
like being with them.
some really good friends of ours. Like, we're still the parents, but we actually enjoy spending time with our kids.
Yeah.
So when Virginia or Naomi is ready to get married and move out, it's going to be very hard.
It is. It's
I
definitely
know.
gonna be harder.
But we didn't understand that when we got married. We just knew we were in love, and that was going to solve everything.
You know what I should do? I should read them some of the letters that we found the other day, because we were going through our wedding memory box with all kinds of awesome pictures, thanks to our friend Hannah. And so evidently I used to like to stop by and drop off notes on Sarah's car pretty much constantly.
So
It's almost like I never had a job or anything.
So the year we got to, we started dating when I was just about to turn 18. Mark was 25, and I was finishing my senior year of high school. So Mark would stop by while I was at school all day and write me letters.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like he thought he was going to find me in the parking lot at school, but I had classes to do. So
I was hoping.
he kept hoping he'd find me, but he never did. I don't remember him ever finding me.
I don't think so.
And so he would leave me letters about what we were going to do later in the day or whatever. And
Very scheduled letters. Like, I plan on stopping by between 4 and 4:01. Stuff like that.
my family was not very time oriented. And so Mark was making sure that I knew when he was going to be there. The thing was, when I met Mark, Mark moved to our area, which was great. But I was a senior in high school. I was president of the student body. I was in the school play. I was helping with the sports teams because I did athletic training.
President of Big Brothers Big Sisters.
I was really busy. And Mark, because he was new to the area, wasn't busy.
I had work and I had my son, and that's about all. I really didn't know anybody else in town.
I kind of, looking back on it, I understand why he felt lonely and wanted time with me. But I was so busy in the things that I was doing. It was like, I'm going to spend as much time as I can with you. But a lot of my schedule was booked. Which,
so now
if
she's stuck with me all the time.
If he had been from the area, he probably would have had other people to hang out with, but he didn't know anybody.
Yeah. Well, I had also just become a Christian like 6 months earlier, 3 or 4 months earlier. I had gone from, you can watch my testimony video, which is on there somewhere. I'll have to give him a link. I had gone from a drunken, drug addict, derelict father to a Christian who pretty much was the opposite of all those things. And for me, that was a radical transformation, which is part of what necessitated moving 2 hours away from my family and my home to kind of get a fresh start and to be with her. So I had to move for her, but that's good. It was worth it. And we're still here 20 years later. We're back here in Thomaston, Maine, where we walked around town today and we saw people that we've known for years that she's known most of her life.
So yeah, that first year, the first year we were dating, I was a senior in high school. And
yes, I saw that.
Happy anniversary, Lila.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
How many years, Lila? Let us know.
I think it was 9 years, but I can't remember. She'll have to tell us. We can keep going.
Okay. So we started graduating. We started dating my senior year. So the year I was going to be graduating. And we got engaged in April of that year. Mm-hmm. So I was right before graduation. We got engaged, which I told Mark that I wasn't ready to get engaged. And he told me we were. But I had told him the second day we were together that I was going to marry him. So
I don't remember any of this. I remember her jumping up and down saying yes, 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 yes. And then we didn't get married for like 14 months after that, which is an eternity. So if you're going to get engaged, my suggestion, 2 months is a really good time frame. A year and 2 months is way too long.
So we ended up, we got engaged in April, spent the summer together mostly. He moved back to Ellsworth. I went to college, and so we were 2 hours apart for that entire year of engagement. I would see him some weekends, and some weekends I would come home to be with my parents. A couple of weekends I stayed up at school. I worked some, but I didn't work much. My college, I ended up paying off the loan. I only did 1 year of college. So once we got married, I didn't go back to college. I felt that I shouldn't. And then I found out felt that I shouldn't. Right before the wedding, we found out that Nathaniel was moving in with us full time. Mm-hmm. And then I found out the day classes would have started for the following year that I was pregnant. So it was all God's timing that I didn't go back. And then Virginia was born finals week. Yeah.
So had she gone to college that whole year, finals week wouldn't have been possible anyway.
And I was really, really sick that pregnancy and ended up on bed rest for the last few weeks. So it definitely would have been a challenge. But
very difficult.
God is good, and all of that worked out. We're not angry about any of that. We're just telling you what life was.
That's life.
So anyway, we got married after the 1 year of me being at college. We came home, and most of the wedding party was adult friends that we had known through, church and things like that. Family, and then my high school friends. That was most of who was at the wedding.
Yep.
So it was good. So this grumpy little baby is almost crawling.
He's got one tooth all the way sticking up through, and one, it's just, I don't know what's going on with it, but it's about there. It's almost as high as the other one, but it's not really through the skin yet. So he's tooth number two toopuses.
He's almost crawling, and he's just about to start pulling himself up. Like if you put him up against something, he really likes to stand there, but he hasn't quite figured out how to.
He wants to be held anywhere. He wants to be, put me down, put me down, put me down.
Like this. Yep. But then when he's down, he's like, let me up. Because he wants to be standing and holding on to things. Oh, Mark didn't turn his volume down.
Sorry.
It's all your fault. But anyway, so Mark's going to deal with that. So we watched our wedding video. We are very happy to be married for 18 years. Oh, and Mark can say something else because I'm going to take this baby to
Okay. She's running away with the baby. What can I say while Sarah's not looking?
I'm listening.
She's listening. So we were watching the video the other day, and we were really enjoying watching ourselves and looking to see how much we have changed. It's really amazing to me, to some extent. Excuse me, I'm going to move everything. How much we have changed in the last 18 years. As we were dancing our first dance, Sarah and I were both singing the song from Aladdin, A Whole New World, to one another while we were dancing. I don't think I've even heard that song in probably 15 years, but at the time it seemed really important to us. So it's interesting just to see the way our priorities shift and our likes.
Wait, what was important to us?
A Whole New World, yeah.
Oh.
What was important to us? We were singing Disney movie theme songs, which is not really our thing generally.
No, but
we like to sing to each other.
We
like to sing. I don't know, to each other a whole lot. But.
So yeah, it's been interesting just as we've been.
You look really short.
I'm sorry.
I don't know why you look so short. Because you're really tall. She's like 5'10" and a half, almost 5'11". So Sarah's not a short person, but I am kind of a giant. I'm 6'5", so I guess I look bigger anyway. But I look on the screen and I think I look like a giant.
Is our chat still working? I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I'm in with.
Okay, so anyway, so we've been married for 18 years. It's very exciting. Those 18 years, we have 8 kids and 2 grandkids and many more kind of adopted children along the way of people that we've invested in. Hopefully they're still excited about the things that we've
nobody's talking
shared with them and all of that. We do have to say happy birthday to Isabelle, a girl who lived with us for a short time back when she was in high school.
Not Isabelle.
Not Isabelle.
Her mom.
But yeah, this girl lived with us, and she is now the mom of
6.
Yeah, she's pregnant.
Here's number 6. Number 6 is coming.
It's hard. Her family keeps growing. I forget what number they're on.
That's a good problem to have.
Yes.
I'm good with, like, we have to go through the names and it reminds you of who everybody is. So, and they're having birthday season, I think.
Yes, all
They've
of them
had 2 or 3 in the last month or so.
You see how I've had my glasses.
Yeah. Did you explain to them that
I
your
did.
ears are crooked? That's
Well,
part of the
I
problem.
didn't explain that. My ears are crooked. So when I put on a new pair of glasses, I have to bend them a little bit so that my glasses don't look too off. But then I just noticed them trying to sit on the table. I don't know if you can see, but they really are as bent as they look there on the camera.
They're really crooked.
So, like I said, I'm going to put on the new pair of glasses. Nothing against any optical. My pair before this lasted probably 3 years until the baby broke them. But
Yeah.
anyway, so it was also sad watching the wedding video in the people that have passed away since our wedding. And so, like, there was a part of the video where my dad was hugging my mom's dad, so my maternal grandfather, and both my dad and my paternal grandfather have passed away. So
Well,
that made us a little teary-eyed.
A lot of people in that video.
Yeah,
So,
I don't want to name all the names
Yeah.
because I don't want to bring up hard times for people. But yeah, there was
some young people, some older folks,
mhm.
people from different parts of our lives.
Yeah.
It's a reminder of how short life is.
Mhm.
And how we need to kind of take each day, do all to the glory of God. And a lot of times we get tied up in the busyness of things, and we may not get that perspective.
So on to our topic of the day.
Oh, that's right. I was not supposed to be. Yeah. Okay.
No, our topic of the day. That went very well into our topic.
Oh, that was wonderful. Yeah. Good
He
segue.
doesn't even remember what our topic is.
I have no idea what we're talking about.
Our topic of the day is getting out and doing things so that your kids and yourself can enjoy the summer that's ahead of us. I know for our family, we have felt very stuck as coronavirus has kind of closed down everything around us. And I was chatting with another mom earlier this week and just talking about how the summer's here and we're kind of letting it pass by because we can't go do our normal summer things and life doesn't feel normal. And I think we're all just kind of waiting for normal to happen. And I don't know when that's going to happen. I do not want to plan that this is the new normal. I keep hoping there's a day that normal's going to come back. But I don't want to waste our whole summer waiting for that normal. So we have done a couple things, and we're just trying to encourage you guys to go out and do things with your family. So this morning, we went out to our town. So we live in a town of 1,900 people.
That's less than 2,000, yeah. Very small town in America. Town.
And so we drove just a mile and a half into downtown.
A mile from our house. Maybe a mile and a half. Yeah, long ways from home.
Into downtown and parked the car, and we walked some of the side streets. And I told the kids we walked past the church that we got married in. We walked past some friends' houses. Mm-hmm. That's where we ran into the girl that I went to high school with, because one of the streets we were walking by was her house. And so we talked about there were multiple people we knew that lived on that street. So she was out shoveling dirt, and we got a chance to stop and chat with her, see how her family was doing. And we caught up because we both keep in touch with different people that we went to high school with. So,
but had we not been walking around town as a family, we wouldn't have bumped into this person.
Right.
And so I was thinking, sentimentality. Oh, here's the church where we got married, and this is the place where we went before the breakfast where we had before our wedding. And this is, our car was out here during the wedding, and it was getting rained on like crazy, and it was like 42 degrees. So nobody
very cold.
Nobody messed with our car at all. So yeah, middle of June in Maine, and it was like 40 degrees and blowing rain. So walking past there, and then friends' houses, people Sarah grew up with, people we went to church with, some folks that like open their house up on the 4th of July and just kind of have folks from church over or different family members and that kind of thing.
Some things I got to share from when I was even younger and remember like where the pastor was of the church we used to go to, the parsonage was right there. So I got to tell some stories about that. And someone who lived across the street that used to have us all over. I don't think I shared this story with the kids. I've got to. We used to all go over there the last day of school and we'd spend the night in this big bonus room they had upstairs. Like everybody would I was like probably, 10 at this time. We'd all sleep in this big bonus room upstairs and we'd eat Doritos for breakfast the next morning. We did that multiple years in a row. I don't know why we ate Doritos for breakfast, but
sounds good to me. So yeah, just walking through
I hear a grumpy baby.
Just walking through our town gave us lots of opportunity to tell those stories about when we were younger or when we were together, or even when Sarah grew up here. She's been here in this town mostly since she was about 7 years old. when her parents moved to Maine from Ohio. So it was neat walking through there, and we crossed the railroad tracks, which we only have one company in the entirety of this area that uses those railroad tracks, Dragon Cement, which we're surrounded by here at our house. Right across the street there's the giant, many acre quarry that they blast limestone out of. So we got to see the railroad tracks and kind of look down there. And as we were walking down the road, there was actually a fox that ran off in front of us. Like ran across the street in front of us that I saw, and that was kind of cool to see. And evidently it's the season that foxes have their babies. They have their baby kits. And so it's not uncommon for us to see foxes this time of year. We've seen them on our road out front here on our little cul-de-sac multiple times. So that was kind of cool to see the foxes. Do we see the foxes? And we walked around. We went down a hill, and we went down by the water where they build boats, because Thomaston is very much a boat building area.
Thomaston used to be known for their ship building.
Right.
They
At one point,
ships.
there were like 8 millionaires in the entire country of the United States. 5 of them lived in our town. So it was a big boat building thing, big limestone industry, a lot of boat captains. People had lots of money, and it was a very up and coming place. You look at a lot of the houses. They were built between 1848 and 1850. That seemed to be like a real big boom of the economy. So,
I'm sorry.
So yeah, we walked on these little side streets and saw some people, and we actually bumped across because we happened to be walking out. We bumped into a yard sale, and we found a pack and play, like a, what would you call that?
Playpen.
Like a playpen for our grandbaby. So we wrote to our son and said, "Hey, you interested in a playpen? We'll buy it for you." And we found that, and we picked that up and talked to them for a few minutes. Just neat getting out in town with all the craziness and people social distancing and too scared to go to the grocery store.
The older man who stopped us and was like, "Wow, what a crew."
Oh yeah.
He was very impressed by our big family.
We're not terribly impressive. But
he just thought it was funny. There were so many of us walking down the street.
Yeah.
But
so that was fun. That was a really good walk. It's good exercise, good sunshine, fresh air.
And then we got in the car and drove over to the playground. So anyone who's from around here, we went over to the playground, which is at the new police station. Used to be Laura Libby School. It's open. Like, we were there, and we saw 2 other families there while we were there. So I know some states have taped off their playgrounds and stuff. We as a family have not been to a playground until today, but yeah, there weren't many people. There was one when we first got there that left shortly after, and then another group came as we were about to leave.
But it's a pretty quiet town anyway. I mean, obviously there's less than 2,000 people in the whole town. So on any given sunny Saturday morning, seeing lots of people at the playground would be unusual for us anyway.
Right.
But it was nice to see people, just people that weren't our friends, people that, just people going around town kind of living their lives.
So yeah, that's the challenge today, is make sure you get out and do some of that summer stuff. Even though summer may seem a little different this year, just make sure that you're getting out and enjoying it. Because like for us here in Maine, our summer is very short. And if you're waiting until normal comes back, you might not get to do anything this summer.
Right.
So, yeah.
We have a lot of things that we kind of plan to do. We have friends about 2 hours away that are near my parents that we did go up and visit last week, but we're not sure when we're going to get the opportunity to do that again, because we got grandbabies that were born, and they're little and they need some help, and
we want to be available.
So we want to be available to give rides and buy stuff, and just whatever we can to encourage and to help. And then this coming Friday, we haven't been putting off, kind of coronavirus has been putting off.
And then the grandbabies were born.
And then the grandbabies being born. So I was originally scheduled to have a lumbar puncture. One of the things that they're trying to see with my neurological stuff, they're trying to see if I have a certain issue with glucose making its way to my brain, I guess.
So it's not that his blood glucose would be a problem.
Right. It's the blood-brain barrier, the glucose transporter. It's like a glucose transporter. So it's your brain's ability to receive the glucose. Some people have a genetic condition that causes that not to be possible, and they can have all the problems that I have, actually.
So we know Mark is 1 in a million, but if he has this, he literally would be 1 in a million. It's very uncommon.
So it's not likely, but it's one of the things that they want to rule out, so that we can see if there's other issues. But this would be something that would kind of be, if it's this, we can change some things in my diet, and there's a
lot of things.
A lot in my diet.
Not that he eats terribly, but it would be a very strict diet.
Yeah, it would be a very, very strict diet. So if that's it, that would be great. If that would actually help. If it's not it, then we're going to keep looking. But so a lumbar puncture is a spinal tap, as they call it. They put a needle into your spinal column and pull out some cerebrospinal fluid. So if you're thinking of us on Friday at 10 a.m., I tend to shake and twitch and move around a lot anyway. So having a needle stuck in your spine doesn't sound like fun.
So part of this is Mark will have to go do this, but we were able to get it at the local hospital because originally they wanted us to go to the hospital 2 hours away, which has its own set of unique challenges because that would leave me in a city with all the kids with nothing to do because everything's closed down right now. And after you have a lumbar puncture, it's best to lay down for long periods of time.
Like 6 to 8 hours.
And it would be challenging. We do have a place we could stay if we went to Bangor, but just anyone who has kids knows it's hard to stay with people, especially those who don't have kids.
Especially if you're not feeling well or have some serious headache, which tends to accompany lumbar punctures.
So what we're going to do is he's going to do the appointment on Friday, and we're going to take next Friday and Saturday off. We will still do the live feed, the live stream, but Mark might be laying down for it.
I might be laying down. I might be sitting. You don't need me anyway.
But we're going to be able to be home where he can close himself in our bedroom and the kids can have their normalcy instead of me trying to keep them normal at a hotel room or something like that. And so that will be Friday.
Yeah.
So this week is going to be very busy. Even without mentioning all the things we're doing, I'll still tell you how busy our week's going to be. So Monday's our anniversary, and we have a pickup order at Walmart to do.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's our exciting of the week is we do a Walmart pickup. And then Tuesday you have a doctor's appointment by telemedicine.
Right. So we'll be sitting in front of this same computer, but instead of us talking to ourselves, and you guys, it'll be talking to the doctor who will be talking back.
Wednesday, we have telemedicine physical therapy appointments. Thursday, I think we're free. Friday, we have Mark's lumbar puncture. Saturday, we have the live stream and something else. I forget what. And then Sunday, my sister is coming down. So I'm making me dinner.
Ooh.
I've heard we're having pancetta Alfredo. So
that sounds good.
Jesse and Tina are coming down to make pancetta Alfredo.
Sounds like a good time to me.
We're excited. I know they're going to watch this. I don't think they're watching right now, but they'll watch this, and I'm excited because I love Alfredo. And so
I like anything with salt. So
and we won't be making pretzels this week, but we will make them for another time you guys come down.
Okay, I guess we're not making pretzels.
You're having a lumbar puncture on Friday. I'm just trying to make my life reasonable.
That makes sense. I can live with that. You're good.
This is a time right now with everything going on. Josiah has not had another seizure, but we're still kind of always on guard for that. He has had more of his just regular seizures. And it's just that time that, it's a paper plates and some meals are a box of pasta and, some salad.
We make it work. It's the chaos that's been going on lately, just not feeling well. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Today's lunch was popcorn and a spoonful of peanut butter and smoothies, like fruit smoothies. So
I had cheese too, a big chunk of cheese.
Yeah.
So we got some protein in.
The kids would have all eaten cheese, but they would have all eaten way more cheese than they needed. So they got peanut butter today.
Yep.
So trying to use the supplies we have, and I have a ton of peanut butter right now. But I didn't have any bread, so we didn't have peanut butter sandwiches.
Oh yeah, we haven't done bread lately.
No, I got to make bread.
We're gonna do some bread.
We've been spending way too much time outside. Not that that's a bad thing, but
a lot of time. Outside.
A lot of time outside. But I forget to start the bread, and bread doesn't take a whole lot of time, on hand, hands-on time. I don't even know what I'm saying. Hands-on time, but I have to think through will the bread be cooked in time to cool so I can put it away before we go to bed. Those are the types of things I have to think about, and I forget. So
Yeah.
we'll have to make some muffins too.
So it's been a little busier. We've been a little out of our regular schedule, but it's been good because we've been able to be outside. We've done homeschool outside. We've done Bible time outside. We've done all kinds of fixing bicycles and cutting down trees and
Also,
making forts and riding bikes and kicking the ball around and just sitting in the grass and having a good time.
Also in the summer, we tend to do more of just dropping whatever we're doing and going. So like this morning at 8 o'clock, we decided that we were going to go out. So we ended up not getting out the door till like 8:45 because Mark and I had not had breakfast yet. So, and I hadn't gotten everybody dressed yet. So, had I gotten those things done earlier, we would have been able to leave quicker. But we do a lot more of just the, hey, it looks nice outside. Let's go wander.
That's what we did the other day. We knew that there was going to be the high school seniors were not allowed to have their regular graduation ceremony. So they decided to, they were going to have kind of a parade of sorts. So all the seniors drove from the high school in town, 5 miles, 3 to 5 miles, somewhere in there, out to the Owl's Head airport. And so we parked somewhere along the route and they all went by blowing their horns and waving. And I think we put up a video of that somewhere.
Yeah.
But that day we went to Birch Point State Park. It was a beautiful spot on the water, kind of a hidden little cove.
And it's
sandy beach.
We don't have a lot of sandy beaches here in Maine. We have a lot of rock beaches.
Right.
Not a whole lot of sandy beaches. So this is one of the only sandy beaches.
So it's nice and sandy in one area. Like it's a large chunk. It's probably 1,000 feet of sand beach. And then around that in the rest of the cove is all kind of ledgy. So we got to, Samuel and I went and climbed on some rocks and it's all mostly flat stuff, but he really likes to climb and we don't have a lot of ability to do that kind of thing. So that's a good chance to go climb around without trying to climb upside of a mountain. So
anybody who wants to come visit us in Maine, we've got some beautiful beaches and stuff around us and we want to take you. So come visit. Anybody want to come visit?
We've made a pile of videos along the last year or so because I think we've been doing Herding Little Cows about 1.5 years now. And we've done a lot of videos of playgrounds and beaches and Acadia National Park. We've done a couple of those, different sections. And Sorrento, there's a lot of beauty around us. And a lot of times the big thing is finding time to, like you say, just get away, to be able to drop things and be able to go do those things. And we've also gotten some recommendations up that area, about 3 hours away from here. Jasper Beach was one that Rachel recommended. Okay. And then we're going to go to Rope Bluffs State Park, and we have a state park pass. So the state park admission is not a cost to us. All we basically got to pay for is gas to get there. And our camper is within an hour or so of these things up at my mom's place, so we can go visit them. And so yeah, it's nice. Being able to get outside has been huge. But even if you can't go to a nice beach or a nice park, if you can walk around your neighborhood or if you can walk around your yard, we have like 2.5 acres here. So we have a little more space to walk.
Sitting in a chair outside is just incredibly refreshing. Even if you can't like get up and do things, just being able to be outside with the sun on you.
Just listen to the birds. We've been watching Naomi and I try to walk in the morning, and we've been enjoying listening to the different birds and watching the trees as they're coming out, the leaves popping out, and
trees are coming out.
Now there's some blooms on the flowers and the apple trees, and our lilac this year we had cut back a lot, so that did not bloom at all this year, but it's still looking good, and I think next year we'll have a bunch of blossoms on it. And all the rhododendrons, and we have a bunch of flowers out front that Sarah's mom has planted and taken care of.
He's okay though.
Okay, sorry. You can explain that.
Oh, so our 7-year-old Josiah just had a little seizure, which for him, a little seizure just means he gets really tight and he looks off to the side and he just gets kind of confused on what's going on. But his big sisters know what to do and he's okay. But they just let us know so that we can kind of keep track of how many he's having.
Right.
But he definitely has been having them even with the Tegretol. But we haven't had another grand mal seizure. So just trying to figure out what we should be doing with him.
It's hard to figure out. So continue to pray for us, just to give us wisdom to know. We want to be as proactive as we can be. And we are doing the medication and things now, which, I mean, we're working with his doctors to figure all this out. But epilepsy is not an easy fix. There's people that have been on a certain medication for 10 years and then it just stops working for them and they have to go on something different. Because your body changes all the time. Your brain changes, new neural pathways, when you learn new skill, all kinds of stuff. So for a 7-year-old with 60% of his brain learning new skills all the time, it's not surprising that he has these, but we're just pray for us for wisdom. We just want to do the right thing, not keep him from things that he can do, but try to keep him safe, because there are some things.
That was something we were talking about
riding
today.
Bicycles.
Was just, I saw this on another board I'm on Facebook.
Allergies. I don't have coronavirus. I have
He
allergies.
actually was fine until he
Went to the hospital.
Went to the hospital the other day and had to wear a mask for an hour. He just needed blood work.
Mhm.
And, he knows the proper protocol of not touching things and all of that. And then he came home. So he was already a little sniffly from wearing the mask. And then he came home and they were mowing the lawn.
Mhm.
Virginia mowed the front lawn. And we could see things flying through the air, all the
It was
pollen
like
and everything.
a whole cloud of little dandelion.
So
seeds
since
and
that
everything.
happened, he has not stopped sneezing. So,
Sorry, I normally take an allergy medication this time of year, but I haven't bothered this year. Maybe I should.
you should. So, so this board that I'm on, they were talking about what do you allow your kids to do, and every family has a different level of what's considered okay and what's considered unsafe. What's okay, you can do that with supervision, or no, you can't do that at all. Like, I know friends who have had much younger kids than ours use their riding lawnmower.
Okay.
Virginia is 17. She uses the riding lawnmower.
She has a driver's license and drives a 15-passenger van with a travel trailer behind it in Atlanta too. But
and Naomi is 13, and I think it was last summer started using the riding lawnmower.
Yeah.
But I know people who have 7 and 8-year-olds who are much more
capable of
confident
doing
on it than I would be.
Yep.
I've never driven the riding lawnmower. So,
but it's I mean, for us, it's not just our family style, but it's also our kids have various difficulties with things and some skills that they're really good at. Samuel shakes like crazy. He has essential tremors and has some other issues. So there's certain things that he's just not getting good at that other people may be, but he's really good with the gross motor skills. He can do, big things, but he can't do the very small, finite.
And he's actually in physical therapy right now because of some knee issues, but they're working on some of those other issues with him, which are physical. Like, they're not things that he's just scared of. They're things he can't do. But go ahead.
But we talked about like jumping on trampolines.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have lots of friends that have the big trampolines, and I know people with the little small exercise trampolines and all kinds of stuff. And when I was in high school, we had a whole class of trampolining for like 2 months or something.
Really?
Yeah. We had the big rectangular one, and a couple people could jump, and we learned how to do flips and rolls and all this kind of stuff.
We never did that in gym class. That's not fair.
I went to a small school. I mean, there was like 32 kids in the school from kindergarten to 12th
but we
grade.
never had a trampoline.
Well, we were cooler than you.
I guess so.
So anyway, but nobody ever got hurt on that trampoline during that class. But I know the loose ligaments that Sarah has, and our kids have some symptoms that are somewhere between hers and mine, where they're very loose ligaments that very easily dislocate knees, which is part of why we have multiple kids in physical therapy. So for us, trampolines just don't make sense. So we've just decided we don't want one. And we have a chiropractor friend who wouldn't have a trampoline because he thinks it's a horrible idea. And I know other doctors and even chiropractors that use trampolines. So it's not that the thing is inherently dangerous, but you've got to gauge, I think, what each kid can do. Like our 2-year-old rides a balance bike up and down the driveway, and he has a helmet and all that stuff. But he does a really good job.
He's super coordinated.
He's super coordinated, much more so than his older sister was when she was that age.
He also rides a bike with training wheels, like a pedal bike with training wheels.
Yeah, so he can do the balance bike. He can put his feet up on it. He can ride all over the place. He can pedal up and down and, the coaster brake and all that. So at 2.5, he can do that. And our other kids, some of them could do it at that age. I don't think any of them could do some of the things Uriah does yet.
Uriah's pretty ahead.
But Virginia likes to run barefoot. She just
loves running.
she doesn't like to go for a 1 mile jog. She wants to bolt from the house to the road and back as fast as is humanly possible.
Or to grandma's house.
Or to grandma's house. So any place that you can like do a short run, she doesn't want to jog. She wants to run as fast as she possibly can. And she doesn't fall down. And if Naomi tried that, she'd dislocate her knee twice, or would have last year. And her exercises have really helped her. So yeah, like there's a lot of those things, like we don't let our kids jump on the bed. It just, one, we have a bunch of bunk beds. So if you jumped on the bed, you would hit your head on something. Mm-hmm. Like if you even stood up on the bed, you'd hit your head. But there's some things that we don't allow our kids to do, and some things we do allow our kids to do. I remember one time our kids were playing. Remember, she knows what I'm going to say already. We were playing at a park in a city a couple hours away, and we had met some friends there who had older kids, and our kids were much younger. And there was this big tree in the park, and our kids just like climbed up the tree. I think all of them were up there at one point, like climbed up and down the tree, had a grand old time waving from the top. So probably 20,
all of a sudden the dad of
maybe 20 feet or something.
All of a sudden the dad of the other family was like, oh, Virginia's way up in the tree. And we were like, yeah.
Well, she's like 12 years old. She knows how to climb a tree. And I remember climbing trees a lot when I was a kid. And we had a shed in our backyard. And we would climb up the ladder on the back of the shed and then climb up to the top part of the shed and jump off. And we never get killed. So it must be okay. But my brother, when he was much, much younger, my oldest brother, he's now in his 50s. He survived this horrible feat. He had nailed up some boards sideways up a tree, or maybe my dad had even nailed them on. But he went climbing up the tree one day, and his foot slipped, or the thing came off, and my brother came down and ripped up his forearm like nails or something. I'm not sure what it was, but like ripped up his forearm. He had multiple scars, like jagged all over the place.
Bruce or Wes?
Bruce. Some people do that. Some people don't do that stuff. I was thinking about the treehouse today. While we were walking, we saw this really neat treehouse, and we've seen a couple people lately building treehouses. Friends online that have built some treehouses, and I'm thinking that's really cool. The kids would really. I'd never let them climb up there, because when I built the bunk beds a month or two ago, mm-hmm. I built them all at a 45-degree angle, so that it would like a 8-inch wide solid 2x8 step and an 8-inch rise. So a standard rise and run on the steps, because I want it to be as safe as possible. We put up rails all over the place, and I'm a little overcautious probably sometimes. But.
Well, it's just funny because there's different things, like even as two parents who try to be in the same mind about things. There are times, I remember one time, I don't even remember what the kid was doing, but
glitter.
Okay. I don't even remember what the kid was doing, but Mark came up and he was like, how could you be letting them do that? And I'm like, what? Like, I saw no problem with whatever the kid was doing. I don't remember what it was. No problem at all. But then later that day, Mark was letting the kids do something that I was having a panic attack watching the children do. And it's just funny because I saw no problem with the thing. Like, his reaction to it was like, I knew the kid was going to chop their own head off.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
I remember what the kids were doing when I saw that. I thought they were going to die. But
what were they doing?
They were on these steps that there was like, it was a place where that's how the steps were made. But all I could see was the kids falling off of it.
Mm.
And that's all that was in my mind. But he didn't think that. And so as parents, we do different things. And this is a public place, so the steps are not up to code, but no. They are what they need to be, mm-hmm. or else this place wouldn't be able to be open.
Playgrounds. I hate playgrounds. Like we take our kids to playgrounds on a semi-regular basis, but I just, the whole like climb about 10 feet above your head, and then there's like a 4-foot wide opening, and the 2-year-old is looking at it like, I wonder if I could fall off that. That would probably scare my parents to death. I think about that kind of thing. So
it's just funny.
It's interesting how we're different. Yeah.
Right. Because I remember thinking, how can he not see the danger there? And that's what he thought about me too. And then sometimes just explaining that sometimes the danger needs to be had. We are at the stage with Malachi that he's about to start crawling.
He can sit up really, really well, but sometimes he falls over. But probably 95% of the time he stays upright. If he reaches a little too far certain directions, he might fall over. But it's a padded fall, and he's kind of breaks his own fall as he goes.
But this is one of those times.
Because he's learned to, but he had to learn
You have to learn.
fall.
Right.
You have to learn to fall.
Right. And there's those times where you let your children get hurt. In kind of the I told you not to do that, and then they fall down.
Yeah,
Not
nothing serious.
Right. Not the I told you not to jump off the roof, so now I'm going to watch you fall off the 2-story roof. But like, I told you that those shoes aren't good to step up on that stool, and then you fell off the stool.
Right.
There are times where natural consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing big, but you need to not.
If anything, we probably err on the side of too much caution. People might say, it's me. Okay, it's me. I'm the one that's always making rules. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. This is dangerous. You might hurt yourself. You might waste a piece of paper or something. Like I'm, all concerned about everything. And I know I freak out a lot. I'll admit to it. I'm fine. She's a lot more lax to some extent. I mean, obviously not about dangerous things, like really dangerous things, but like teaching a child to ride a bike. You can put a helmet on them. You can put pads on them. You can do about anything, but they're going to fall down. It's going to happen.
Yeah. And at some point they have to learn. Like those are very good skills for the kids to have.
Because their body has to learn like, I hit this bump. And instead of falling, I need to correct a little bit. I need to lean a little more to that side, or I need to turn a little more this way. And they have to learn those things, but it's still not comfortable watching them learn them.
So just don't watch.
So I stay inside and don't watch anything. No.
Because that's
I do feel that way sometimes.
But like a gymnast is never going to get good at flipping on the mat if they're afraid of falling down.
Yeah.
And a race car driver is never going to get faster if he's scared of pushing the gas.
Right.
And,
So we can go back and do donuts on Marble Beach in like a little car?
No.
Oh.
Mark likes to
That's different.
Well, Mark used to like to do donuts. He hasn't done them in a long time.
I can't even drive anymore, but I know. I think donuts would probably make me sick. Even one would make me sick. Like turning left could make me sick.
Mark has this great fascination with, or used to have this when we were dating, had this great fascination of trying to scare me in a car. Which, if you know Mark now,
I was really good at it. I'm just saying, like everybody has their talents. I could scare you to death in a car.
If you know Mark now, he doesn't drive, and none of us drive as well as Mark could.
Of course not.
And we scare him by, you drove a little too close to that. You drove a little too close to that. You're going a little fast. Right? But he used to take me, knowing I didn't like it, to do donuts on the beach.
You have to learn how to lose control of a car in order to gain control of a car in a spin, like with ice and snow. Because we live in Maine. We have ice and snow.
Oh, yeah. Try to justify
8 months
it.
out of the year. And so, like, you have to learn how to get yourself out of a skid. They teach this in driver's ed in some places, just maybe not where you went. I was taught how to get out of a skid in rear-wheel drive cars and front-wheel drive cars, and you need to know both. Because if you don't know both, then you might get in a skid and you might crash.
And I know how to drive, and I've never been in an accident, but I still drive too wrong.
For the record, I've also never been in an accident.
No, I know, but I haven't been in
an
accident.
You actually have. You lost control of the truck and went. Remember that? It wasn't her fault.
It wasn't my fault.
We crossed a town line, and it was like
at the top of a hill.
Right, at the top of a hill, and we get to the top of the hill, and it was like the town of Ripley, I think. I'm not sure. It was on Route 27.
The road we were in,
totally
sanded
clear,
their roads.
sanded, fine, no problem. Come up over the hill, town line, sheet of ice, and we went spinning around.
Well, hold on.
I wasn't driving.
Wait, hold on. There was a sheet of ice
and
an oil truck headed at us. So, as I could tell that I was starting to lose control, I went to the snowbank instead of the oil truck. So
good choice.
I think I did pretty well.
She did very
yes,
well.
I was in that accident.
It was scary, but
we were all okay. The friend we were going to see got us out of the snowbank.
We needed to borrow a shovel because we slid into what was like a 4-foot thick snowbank or 4-foot tall snowbank, and we slid in probably 4 feet.
And she had some chiropractic skills, so she kind of straightened us out a little bit.
Yeah. Handy.
But yeah.
We had a good time that night, though.
We did. We
was
had
that
a really good time.
Night?
One of them was, but I don't remember if that
night. We might have got our feet washed that night. That was a very, very cool
But
what does that have to do with taking risks, learning skills?
I was just saying that I don't actually drive bad.
Oh no. She's a great driver.
But Mark thinks donuts.
She's just been in one more accident than me. So.
I've been stopped by the cops a lot less than him.
Well, that doesn't. In my younger years, since I have become a Christian, I don't remember being pulled over at all. Oh, Kevin High pulled me over once when I first moved to town here, like 20 years ago. Not because I was doing anything bad, but because I had a blinker, like the light bulb wasn't working or something. But I don't think I actually did anything.
Oh,
wrong.
you got pulled over one of the times you were driving recently. Not recently, but just before
I
this
haven't
last
driven in 2.5 years.
before this last thing. You got pulled over coming home from Bible study.
So we have this giant Jesus wagon. We have a high top van with Bible verses plastered all over it. And we're coming home on a Sunday night at like 8:30 from a Bible study at our pastor's house.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we're in a lot of trouble here. And we're driving along and blue lights flash. And I'm like, what is going on? I know I didn't do anything wrong. So
then
happened?
we were like, maybe they were looking for somebody, and they got to the car and they're like, we were looking for somebody, but you obviously are not that person, and they let us go. So
I don't know how obviously we weren't the right people. Like, you did pull us over in this giant high top van with a bunch of Bible verses plastered all over it.
But it was dark, so they might not have seen like whatever they were looking for. We may have looked at like it before they pulled us over.
If you've ever seen our older silver van that we're talking about, I've only seen 2 like it in my life. So highly unlikely that person had a vehicle like ours. So maybe they just had the same shirt on that I was wearing, and you happened to see that going the opposite direction. Doesn't matter. So yes, I did get pulled over. But again, I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't breaking any law or anything like that. I was being a good boy.
And that van, our son might be buying that van from us. So
we still have that.
If you see that van around, it might not be us in it anymore.
Right. Oh, yeah. We bought that van in May of 2009, I believe, with 92,000 miles. At the time, we lived in a camper traveling across the country working with churches. So we traveled in that van a lot, and it hauled a big camper for a lot of miles. Well, now it has like 239,000 miles or something like that on it, and it still runs really well. It's got some rust issues, but not the end of the world. Nothing in the frame. But that van has been very, very good to us. God provided it at just the right time and just the right place in some pretty cool ways. And it has seen us through some very interesting places.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've told those stories before. Some of them anyway.
So, yes, taking risks. That's what we were talking about.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about something.
So it is good for your children to take risks. So don't be a helicopter parent.
Don't be a helicopter. I'm a helicopter parent, I think. I'll admit to it. I'm the one who, I think it's partially because of my neurological stuff, because I don't think I used to be this bad. Was I always this bad?
No.
I wasn't always this bad. Now, if you drop a spoon on the floor, it might cause me discomfort, shall we say. So anything,
on certain days.
Yeah, anything that's surprising could bother me, but it may not. You might have a loud room full of a bunch of people and I'm fine, and 10 minutes later, that same room might be very difficult for me. But I think in parenting, I think I've become much more cautious.
Because if the child screams, it's going to hurt his head.
I think that's part of it. Is if they scream, it's painful to me and may also cause more neurological symptoms. So I think that's why I'm more cautious.
But sometimes
that's going to be my
scream.
excuse. That's going to be my excuse.
Sometimes they scream, and sometimes they scream over nothingness. We try not to let our kids scream over nothingness, but sometimes that paper cut, they just start screaming because they're little.
Right.
We were talking about this today too.
We were
all the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
We were talking about the difference between there's instruction on what life is supposed to look like. So like what? Okay. So instruction on like how culture works.
Right.
When we meet somebody, we shake hands. Now you don't. That's what you don't do. But
I just taught them that. Now you're going to take that away too?
But instruction on just how culture works, how life works.
Yeah.
There's sin issues. So like selfishness or pride,
stealing,
like lying,
taking things from people.
There's those types of issues. And then there's just childishness.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we get frustrated at the childishness or the instruction that we did not give.
Mm.
when we should be focusing on what the sin issues are. Because
We had this discussion at the playground this morning, actually. We just had this discussion.
after we discussed risk taking.
Right. Yeah, we're at the playground watching the kids try to kill
So we
themselves.
have these conversations and then we tell you guys, we
Yeah.
thank you. And then we can watch these again next year going, oh yeah, that's what we thought about that. But no, just the idea that sometimes we correct kids because we've never told them that that's the wrong thing to do.
Mm.
Like our kids have bunk beds.
Mhm.
And so like Mark said, you can't jump on the bunk bed because you can't even stand up on it.
Right.
But if we go to a friend's house and the kids are jumping on bunk beds, and not jumping on bunk beds, jumping on regular beds, and we've never told our kids that we shouldn't jump on beds, then we can't be upset at them that they're jumping on a bed because they haven't been instructed that that's not what we do.
Right. And some of those things, like we said, are preferences. Parents are going to parent different.
Yeah. Some people jump on their beds and that's totally
If someone
fine.
is lying to you or hurting someone, then those are sin issues.
Mm-hmm.
If someone didn't include you in a certain aspect of a social interaction, that's maybe not a sin issue. Maybe they just do things differently. Maybe someone is raised in a culture where their teenagers only talk to teenagers. I know you've never heard of anybody like this, but there are some people in the world, I've heard about them, that teenagers only talk to people like within 2 years of their age range. And it seems though they're completely incapable of communicating with people that are older than them or younger. We don't have that in our family. We kind of have the 2-year-old can hold conversation with grandma, and the 17-year-old routinely writes letters to pastors and churches and things like that. But like our kids interact with us most all day, every day. Our kids are with people that are different ages. You've got a 8-month-old and today, and a 2.5-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old and a 17-year-old and a 37-year-old and a 45-year-old and grandma. And we're all here most days together. And sometimes the kids have to learn to be quiet, to wait for grandma to tell a story about what happened at work today. Or sometimes we have to be patient and wait until daddy can get his phone around to show everybody the picture of the babies. Because sometimes you're showing them a picture and like, oh, I was going to show grandma this picture because grandma hasn't seen this. And everybody wants to see it. And they just have to be patient, take your time, wait your turn. But we have to teach them those things. And we have some rules here that are harder, I think. I think life with me is harder than life with most people. There's a couple of our friends that would agree with that.
Well, some of the things that people would see as an annoyance are actually painful to Mark or can set him off. So if Mark tells them not to do it, and that's where Mark has to be discerning of, am I just saying no because it's annoying me?
Right.
Or because it's hurting me?
Right.
Because there's things we have to say no to. I mean, like, we know somebody who's a missionary, like know of this person, who has a lot of pain in his hands and things like that. So his kids need to interact with him in a different way than other people. And it's not because that's wrong. It's because physically he needs certain things. And so physically Mark needs certain things. And so we have to say no to certain things.
Like
Josiah.
Whistles are not allowed in our house. Balloons are not allowed in our house.
There are certain sounds that bother Josiah, so we don't have those sounds in our house. So it's being...
Yeah, so I have some that annoy me, and I have some that are physically painful to me. Josiah has some that annoy him and some that are physically painful to him, but because of his condition, sometimes it's hard to discern which of those that is. If someone starts playing a certain instrument or something, Josiah may cover his ears and say it hurts, so we'll stop it, but then later on he'll be able to play that and it's fine. And I have some of the same things that my hyperacuity issues sometimes are intermittent. They're not the exact same all the time. So sometimes I can deal with certain things and sometimes I can't deal with the exact same thing.
So I think that goes back to dealing with our children and not getting frustrated with their childishness.
Right.
Because as adults, we do things in certain ways. We like things happening in certain ways. What did she say? Can you tell my kids? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's that.
Good point, Lila. Sorry, I have a little baby waking up in my arms. But dealing with childishness, because like when we go on a walk, we had this conversation this morning, so I'm not saying anything against anybody. But when we go on a walk, sometimes we can get frustrated that the 2-year-old wants to stop and smell the roses.
Right.
And sometimes it's because, like, one place we were walking by today, there was a car that was wanting to pull out of a driveway.
Right.
So we want to get you out of the driveway so everybody's safe.
Yeah.
But there's other times where we're just being too particular with what
picky,
we want. Yeah, we're being picky.
Like, I want to walk a little faster or whatever, or I was going to go look at this thing 500 feet up, but we travel as a clump because there's multiple young children. There's people with different needs and different abilities. So we tend to travel as a clump, and sometimes it's slower and sometimes it's faster.
Yeah. So the, I don't know, the childishness, I think we need to think of as adults how we like things done, because I think we can be very much particular of, no, I don't want you to do that. No, I don't want you to do that. No, I don't want you to do that. When the things they're doing aren't actually wrong and actually could be good for their learning and their growth. We go through a lot of paper in this house. Sometimes I don't like the amount of paper we go through, but the kids are learning some really, really awesome skills by drawing and writing letters and everything and having paper all over the floor all day long.
There's always paper on our floor. There's actually paper right over there and a couple pieces over there.
And some markers.
And that's after we cleaned up. It doesn't take long.
No. So say I just woke up and I don't know.
I did woke up.
But so yeah, just being careful that we are being consistent on correcting the sinful behavior. And I think we can see in our kids, I mean, all kids, all adults, all everybody deal with multiple sins that are specific to them. Not specific to them. Oh, I know. Specific to everybody. But I'm saying that certain people have certain sins, like are usually lying or are very prideful. And you can see what those are in your kids and help to point them out so that they can see the things that they need to ask God for help in correcting. But then also making sure that we're being careful to instruct. We were talking about the verse the other day about children obey your parents, and how as parents, that's an easy one to listen to. Hey, yes, you need to obey me. This is good. I like what God has to say. But then the next part of the verse where it talks about fathers do not exasperate your children to anger. And if provoke your children to anger. If you are not instructing your children and you're correcting them for things that they don't know how to do, you're provoking them to anger. Because if they don't know, I'm going to take the example of jumping on the bed. Not that there's anything wrong with jumping on the bed. But if you've never told them you don't want them jumping on the bed, and then they do, and you start screaming at them for jumping on the bed, you haven't given them correction. As an adult, if you were going to work and they said, okay, we need you to fill out this paperwork, and you fill out the whole thing, and then they come back in and they start screaming at you and say, well, you're not supposed to use a red pen, you'd be upset because you'd be like, well, you didn't tell me how to do it correctly. So that's kind of your fault, not my fault. And a lot of times as adults, we expect our kids to know what they're supposed to do. And it ends up bringing them into being very angry because they don't understand. Sorry, Mark. They don't understand the right and wrong because you've never taught them. And then there's also correcting them for being childish. And I just wanted to leave an example. I go to a group with a lady who works in healthcare. I think she's a therapist of some kind. I'm not sure. But one day she needed to get her son's shoes on, and she didn't tell him, okay, I just want you to sit there. Because I know I do this as a parent. I sometimes don't instruct them of exactly what I want them to do, and it makes them harder for them to obey me. So what she said is, I need you to sit with your bottom on the floor and your legs straight in front of you. I need you to keep your feet still so I can help you put your shoes on. And I need you to take your arms and give yourself a big bear hug until we have our shoes on. And that gave him body cues of what he was supposed to be doing to keep still so that his mom could help him. And I know a lot of times we'll just say to our kids, okay, just sit on that chair and sit still. And to them, okay, I'm staying on the chair. yes, I put my feet up, I put my feet down, I put my feet up. I'm spinning my butt around on the chair, but I'm still on the chair. And if we don't give them clear cues, they might just be being childish and not actually disobedient. Sorry. They might just be doing what a child's going to do, and we're correcting them for the childishness. So that is my challenge this week. Think to some situations you've had in your household recently. Just so you know, that's my empty glasses case. I handed him the empty case so he wouldn't hurt anything. But Mark's over here getting set off by it, but it's what's keeping the baby happy for right now. So it's one of those things I'll try not to let drop on the floor. Make sure that you look back on a couple of the interactions you've had with your kids over the last couple days and see if what you were teaching them was because you needed to help them deal with a sin issue, you needed to give them better instruction, or you needed to just let go and let the childishness happen because it teaches them things. So I'm going to leave you there for this week. Mark's having a hard time and we have a pool to go set up. So I hope that you guys enjoyed being with us today, and we will see you next week. Let me know if you have some examples of this parenting we were talking about. I hear people coming out. You guys want to come say hi? You can tell all the kids they can come say hi before we go. You want to come say hi? Here we go.
Hi.
This is Josiah.
Hi.
He's the one who had the little seizure while we were doing it. You want to go tell everyone else they can come say hi too?
Yeah.
They love coming and being on the camera. This is one of their favorite things. Oh, Uriah dressed himself today. Can you show him your outfit? See, doesn't he look so handsome? Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hi. They can't talk back to you, but they can see you. Oh, okay. There's Abigail.
Hi.
Hi. What have you guys been doing in the other room?
We've been watching a show.
What show?
Torchlighters.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to tell them about what Torchlighters is, okay? Oh, Heidi says hi. Walmart Heidi says hi.
Hi, Heidi. Hi, Heidi.
So they're all saying hi to you, Heidi. Torchlighters that they're watching. Naomi wants to take the baby. Torchlighters that they're watching is from Voice of the Martyrs. Sorry. Is Voice... It's outside. Oh, you guys want to go outside? They're going to go set up the pool. Is Voice of the Martyrs, and it's a cartoon. They're about 30 minutes long, and they talk about different missionaries. So which ones did you guys watch today?
Samuel Morris.
Samuel Morris was a tribesman's son in Africa, and he learned who God was and was able to... he became a Christian and came to the United States, and he ended up dying at a very young age, but was a big inspiration to people. And Richard Wurmbrand, who is the founder of Voice of the Martyrs. And he was imprisoned for a long time for speaking of God in his home country of Romania. Him and his wife were in prison for a long time. So he started Voice of the Martyrs to help people who were Christians who were persecuted for their faith. And they have all kinds of them. Our favorite is a new one, which is George Mueller. He's always been one of our favorite missionaries. He worked with a bunch of orphans in England, right? And he had an amazing prayer life. And it talks about how he prays, and they pray to get these orphanages started. And the first day comes and no orphans show up. And the next day comes and no orphans show up. And they realized that they had never prayed for the orphans to come. They prayed for the bedding, and they prayed for the clothes, and they prayed for the toys, and they prayed for the food, and all of that happened, and they never prayed for the orphans. And they started praying that orphans would be made aware of their place, and the orphans started showing up. And then there's just some amazing stories of how God provided for the orphans through food. One morning, a milk truck broke down in front of the orphanage as George Mueller had the kids praying for the food that God was going to provide that day, even though they had no food. A milk truck broke down in front of their place, and the milk driver came and said, "This is going to go bad. Could you guys use this?" And while they were distributing the milk, a baker came and said, "I've been up all night making bread for you guys because I just felt that God was telling me that you needed bread. And so we've really enjoyed listening to him, listening to stories about him and his prayer life. So Torchlighters, they're half-hour cartoon. Some of them are too scary for young children. George Mueller would be a good one to start with. A lot of them have somebody who is persecuted or murdered for their faith. And so that can be scary for young kids. But George Mueller ends up being a happy ending. So anything else to add? Okay. Thank you guys for joining us. We will see you next time.